Hi everyone, welcome to Thursday. Now today we're going to take a look at another one of the smart shares that are available on Smart Invest. We'll take a look at that. It's a European investment and it's an ESG. And I have noticed of late that ESG companies tend to be performing quite strongly. Now before I jump across and share my screen, just remember that this is for educational purposes only. Definitely not intended to be personalised and financial advice. If you're looking for that, then you do need to go and have a chat to your own financial advisor. If, however, you're looking for ideas, strategies, that sort of thing around shares and share investing, by all means, let me know, because I'm happy to do a video for you if there's something you'd like to learn, or even if there is a share and review that you would like me to do for you. Pop it in the comments and we can do that in a future video. Right, let's go and have a look at this Europe shares. First of all, I've just brought it up here on smartinvest.co.nz, and it's Smart Europe ESG ETF, and you can see here that it tracks the returns of the MSCI Europe Screened Index, and it contains European companies with an ESG screening and with their responsible investing policy. And the index doesn't exclude companies that fail to comply with the United Nations Compact principles. So this is it here. You can scroll down, you can look at that performance, although a mountain chart like that is quite hard to read, but it's certainly been a strong performer. You can keep scrolling down and it will give you the returns on it, and it will give you obviously 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5-year returns, and these are pretty impressive returns. It also gives you the top 10 holdings, so you can do a little bit more research and see what holdings there are in there. And then if there is any historic dividends, it doesn't appear that it's been paying any according to this. So that's where I go sometimes to have a look for ETFs really, and I do personally like Smart Invest. The sole reason for that is because it takes care of all of the tax, so I'm not going to be caught with the fifth rules or the foreign investment fund rules when it comes to tax. Obviously, tax is a completely different topic and you do need to go and seek advice from your own tax agent. But this is a way, if you are concerned about the foreign investment funds tax rules, that this using Smart Invest is definitely a way that you can get exposure to international companies but not be subjecting yourself to those tax rules. Okay, let's have a look at EUG. So I've got it up here on the screen. Now this is the 5-year chart, and I am recording this on Monday morning, and the market is open, so it's opened about 0.13%. If I just scroll across, that dashed line out is quite hard to see. That is where this particular share is trading at the moment. So it looks like we've definitely had a bit of a gap form from where it closed last week. And that's a really good, strong indicator. You can also see that the volume is quite strong on this particular share and things as well when you look down the bottom. What sort of caught my eye with this share? So these are now monthly candles. Look how many green candles we've got in a row each month, and it has really been a strong performer pretty much not long after it started. It looks like it started here in about July 2019 and has been, like I just said, going very, very strongly. Let's jump to the 1-year chart and take a look. Obviously, the 1-year chart makes these candles daily, and it does get a little bit noisy when you look at it like this. There's lots happening. Friday here, the market opened higher than where it closed because there wasn't any trading on Thursday. The interesting thing is the gap that's formed between Wednesday, if I just hold my cursor there, so Wednesday had a close of $4.65, and then Friday it actually opened at $4.67. So you had about a 2-cent gap there, which is quite interesting with that particular share. Let's just go and put our moving averages on. So we'll use the 40 exponential, and we will also use the 15. Right, you can see here on the daily chart that the share has actually moved quite a distance away from both of these moving averages. The moving averages on this daily chart did cross back at around beginning of June last year, and then it's been on a very, very strong performance, which is good. Now, one thing to note is that there's not heaps of volume on this particular share, and you can see that over on the left. So that is something you do need to be mindful of. Let's go into the 5-year chart and just see, look how strong that has been running. And in fact, we've almost sort of got to a perpendicular sort of look. And the thing that really caught my eye, if I just hover here, so at the end of December, this is where the market closed, and it had a close of $4.52. Then when it opened the following week, it had a close on that following week of $4.61. So we're talking sort of around 9 cents difference just in that particular week, which is quite a bit for a share of this type. And it has been performing really strongly. The moving averages, if I look on a weekly basis, they crossed at around December 2022. And whilst there has been pullbacks, it's really interesting that they have pretty much only pulled back to the 30 period moving average and then moved on again. Those moving averages haven't crossed to the downside at all in this period, and that's quite a phenomenal run. We're talking sort of 3 years it's been performing like that. Now, something that I do want to look at when I look at buying into an ETF, I can't really compare this against an indices because obviously this is priced in New Zealand dollars, although it's investing in European shares. So it's very hard to get a comparison. You can't compare it against the New Zealand market because it's not relevant to the New Zealand market, and you can't really compare it against an ESG ETF that is based in pounds or euros because this is based in New Zealand, so it won't do us that comparison. But one thing I do like to use is the average true range. So we just put that in. Here it is. Now I use a 21 period for this, and I always look at it on a weekly basis. This ATR is the average true range, average trading range, and it basically says roughly how much movement could you see in this particular stock. And given I've got it on the 5-year chart, brings up the candles as weekly. So on a weekly basis, you could generally, over sort of the last 21 weeks, it's averaging out at about 10 cents a week movement. You could say, obviously, there's going to be times where it could move more than that or less than that, but that's what it's averaging out at. Now, something that I like to look at is I like to take that ATR and divide it by the price of the share. So we're talking $4.659 and then times it by 100. So it means that there is about 2.1% volatility in this share. Now, for me, I mean, that's quite normal. Anything under 5% is quite acceptable when I'm evaluating shares. Once it gets to that 5% or higher, for me, I don't want to look at that any further. It's a little bit of a red flag, especially when you're looking at ETFs like that, because obviously it's more of a combined portfolio of a whole lot of different shares. If you're looking at an individual share, you will generally expect a lot more volatility than 5%. But once a group of shares or indices reaches that 5% volatility mark, no, I'd just rather sit on the sidelines and just wait and see. So anyway, so that's what I wanted to show you today. It was something that came up when I was doing my own research recently, and I thought that was quite interesting. And in fact, a lot of the ETFs through Smart Invest I've found lately have been doing quite well. I've invested in quite a few of them myself. Just a disclaimer there, I do not get any trail commissions from a Smart Invest or anything like that. Do your own research, definitely. But like I said, I just wanted to show you something that had come up for me. So anyway, until next week, I really hope that's helping. Leave me a comment. Love hearing your feedback and what you want to learn, that sort of thing. So come back next week and we will take a look at something different.